And if your plate is so full that you're only doing things halfway and not feeling really good about the job you're doing and how you can impact others, we need to really take a holistic look at what's going on.
You're listening to The Successful Bookkeeper with your host, Michael Palmer. Listen each week as inspiring guests share their secrets of success to help you increase your confidence, work smarter, and build a business you love. This episode of The Successful Bookkeeper is brought to you by PureBookkeeping.com, the proven system to grow your bookkeeping business.
Welcome back to the Successful Bookkeeper Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Palmer, and today's show is going to be a fabulous one. Our guest is a life and leadership development coach who helps entrepreneurs thrive and scale. Tonya Herb, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Michael. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you. And, we started to have a conversation about the type of people you serve and what their life is like. And it sounds like we have some great similarities between our listener that's listening right now. So that's going to be exciting. So let's maybe start with you sharing your career journey leading up to this point to where you're doing what you're doing today.
So how much time do we have here? No,
that's right.
Really just kidding.
Clock is ticking.
I'll make it short and sweet. So, back in the 90s, I really was a small business owner at that time. I had a small cleaning business and I worked part-time for the Postal Service. And the interesting thing is that I found that toilets and mailboxes don't talk back. And I am really a people person, so I need to be around people. So I really stepped into my next element, which was real estate, which led me to financial services. So over the course of the late 90s through just the last few years, I've been inside real estate and financial services and learned a lot about running teams, building teams, helping people through those mindsets where they are really their question is, how do I gain more confidence? How do I learn to speak up? How do I really become better as an employee, as a leader, and add value? And so that's really what led me into coaching. I started to do that within the teams that I was within, and the more I did it, the more it lit me up. And I knew that there was that internal just knowing that I was meant for more than just being inside one team. And that's when I started coaching. And it is every single day I lay my head on the pillow and I think, wow, I have the best job ever. Mm-hmm. And I love it. I love what I do, and I love the people that I work with and the people that trust me with their journey and their vulnerability.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Our listener runs a small business, bookkeeping business, and I'm sure there's a whole host of topics that we could talk about that would serve them in this time that we have. What do you find when you're working with your clients? What are the first couple of things that you're going to obviously start tackling in their lives as high achievers?
The very first conversation that we typically have is, why are you doing all the things? And why aren't we delegating more? That's literally typically the first conversation. And they'll say, oh, well, I'm looking around at my team and they're just so busy. There's so much on their plate. We're all hustling. And it'll take me longer to explain what I'm doing and how to do it, how I want it, than it will for me to just do it myself. So I'm just going to, I'm good. I just need you to help me with the overwhelm, which we didn't we just talk about that? And so it's an aha moment for a lot of people. And so really having that very honest conversation about why you're not delegating. Do you really know how? You're here in this leadership position or this business ownership, entrepreneurial position, and you're meant to lead the way. And if your plate is so full that you're only doing things halfway and not feeling really good about the job you're doing and how you can impact others, we need to really take a holistic look at what's going on and what the belief systems are that sit behind all of that, and rebuild that belief system and maybe kind of, I guess the word would be unlearn some of the bad habits that we formed over time.
I would think, yeah, I mean, I'm no stranger to poor delegation. Myself, I've gotten better over the years, for sure, but that's of our listenership, and our listener right now, I think, is saying, yes, that's me, putting their hand up, saying, I could delegate better. What do you think the cause of our listeners, reluctance or inability to delegate well? Where does it stem from? You mentioned mindsets, beliefs. Let me say a little bit more about that. How can we start to unlock that?
Well, I think that we tend, and I'm not a guy, so I don't know, maybe you can help me with this, but for women, we overthink everything. We tend to overthink a lot of things. And if we're going to really go back to the question about what leads us to that, we don't really know how or what the very first steps are. And so we get stuck in that how. How do we do this? How? And we're researching internet. We're on social media looking for the next course or class or what have you. And what we really should be thinking is, who can help me learn to do this, to simplify my life? That's where I think it starts. And I think even going a step deeper, really understanding what drives us, what our core values are, why we're operating the way we are. When we start to dive into those things, then we really can focus on where our alignment is and where we should be focusing. I hate to use the word should because there's a whole bunch to unpack there.
Yes.
When we say should, would, could. But when we really center ourselves and learn what we're good at and let go of the rest, we start to empower others. And that's another thing, is not only have we not learned how to delegate, but we really don't understand what true empowerment is. Because something that we think is so not meaningless, I don't know what the word would be. I'm kind of at a loss for words. That something that we're not really all that good at, right? I'm sure you have a couple of those tasks.
Yeah, for sure.
I do too. But isn't there someone around us that loves that, that's really good at it, that can do it so much easier and quicker if we just let go? So there's a sense of control inside of all that too.
Yeah, I think so. And what I love the thing, and it reminded me the how or who, not the how.
Right.
And that's almost like I can feel myself relaxing a bit, because the answer really is, the beginning of the answer is there, is in the who can do this. And so I think a lot of our listener comes to the table saying, well, I am the person who gets it done. That's been their trajectory, most of the trajectory. I started as a technician. I'm doing the bookkeeping. I know how to do the bookkeeping. And so coming in with the how mentality as a technician, it's tough to break to the who. And it can be like, well, who's going to do the bookkeeping if not me? But there's a lot of other things in the business for sure. And you said overthinking. Women do it. Entrepreneurs do it. Men do it. I do overthinking all the time. How do you have ways, or how do you help your clients with overthinking?
Well, I think first of all, starting and identifying for us, because for me, overthinking may be defined a little differently than you. So we all will have a different idea of what overthinking really is. And when we boil it down to thinking about, we're sometimes afraid to make mistakes. And so we're doing everything that we can to avoid failure, which is counterintuitive because failure is the thing that gets you there quicker. The more you fail, the quicker you fail, the more you eliminate the things that don't work so you can get to the things that do.
That's right. Yeah.
So overthinking simply is the fear of failure and really wanting things to work out really well and be perfect. And sometimes we tie our value in there too. We can maybe overanalyze or overworry, and what happens is that it puts us in a place where we're we're struck by this analysis paralysis, if you will, where we just need a little more information.
Yes.
Should I just have a little more information, or maybe I should talk to so-and-so and find out what their opinion is, instead of actually taking intuitive steps and being mindful of just moving forward and being okay with good enough to move the needle. Because while you're overthinking, your competitor's out there taking action.
That's right. That's right. I think I can relate to that. I think the overthinking when and I can do both, and I have done both, which is when I'm overthinking something that's maybe a little bit new, even around the delegation's an easy one, is I'm thinking of how it's going to go wrong. Like you said in the beginning, it's like, well, it's going to be difficult to get the steps down. And even if I know the steps are going to change, right? So even if I spend all the time documenting, it's going to change. And then I'll also think, someone's going to do it and it's going to be done. I should just do it myself. And so I'm really thinking about all of the things that I'm creating, how this is all going to go wrong. And if I switch that to overthinking how it's going to go right, I'd probably get there faster. And like you say, that's a great way of saying it, is like failing. Not only we hear it all the time, and I've said it before, fail fast, right? But the faster you fail, the faster you get to the things that work, like you said, which is a great way of thinking it. And I guess it's sometimes forgotten, for me anyways, around just applying that every single day.
Exactly. And as you're talking, I can feel the anxiety rise up in me, and I'm like, let me help you.
Yes. Yes.
So, I think one of the first things is to recognize that we are overthinking. And we start to, and then the first step is, okay, so yes, I am overthinking this. Okay, why am I stuck there? And let's challenge the thought. Let's identify the places where we consistently overthink. If you can really take a step back, and first of all, I'll say, am I overthinking this? Yes or no? And that it's typically going to be, yes, I am. If you get really honest. And who has time for anything but being really honest with yourself at this point? We're trying to run businesses here and make our mark in the world. But when we start to identify and really notice those places where we are overthinking, then we say, okay, why am I doing this? What is it really true? Am I spending energy in my mind spinning on things that we can't possibly know the outcome? And I really like to utilize energy as a currency, if you will. I used to say it's like dollar bills, spend it wisely. But it's not dollar bills, it's $1,000 bills. Where you're spending your energy, if you look at it as if they are $1,000 bills, what am I spending my thoughts on? Where am I putting my energy? You're going to be more careful about what you spend your time and energy on. And if good enough is going to move the needle to make more impact, then let's step into that And so I think going back to the original question is really just recognizing when you start to do that and asking yourself why, and is it really true?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good. And I think the analogy of the putting a value stamp on the time differently, a new context around time, has me think of people that maybe don't have much time left, and what would they pay to have more time? It's whatever they have, right? Every single penny. Most people would want as much time in this lifetime as possible. If we think of it like something that's finite, it's extremely scarce and valuable. And so that's a nice way of thinking about, what am I spending my time on? If I'm burning it up, worrying about something or thinking or doing something that's really not my best use of time.
Right.
It's right there. It's just like, come on, we can do better here.
I love that. I love that. You're like, come on. I can hear you saying that to yourself.
Oh, yeah. I say it all the time.
Come on. What are we doing here?
Come on. Okay. Enough's enough. Let's go. And so I think that's some good thoughts for our listener as well. Let's maybe talk about that in the context of growth, right? So if there's a solo technician that's going to grow, you've mentioned some of your teammates, your clients, they get in solo. We're talking high performers, high earners, real estate agent, financial planners, people who are running professional services,
attorneys,
they get in and they're like, okay, I'm doing it all myself. And then they hire a team member. And then all of a sudden, the next thing you know, they're like, whoa, wait a second, I'm in a business. And so, it can also be the way where it's like, I really should hire the people and maybe it didn't work out. We hear that all the time, right? It's like, I'm so busy. And if I let's do the math on this. If I hired, another person and then another person, I'd be making all this more money and, it would be great. And I'd have a lot more time. It doesn't always work out that way. In fact, it works out the opposite of that most times because it's done ineffectively. So that's a big fear that holds them back from progress. And they could go years. I mean, I know I got a long list of people that I've spoken to who've spent years overthinking that very thing of it's just going to go wrong for me. And they never do it. They never attempt it again.
I love sitting with people in that mindset because I think there's so much to be said to actually sit back and put the numbers to it and say, what is this really costing you? Because the cost and the price of burnout and overwhelm is so extreme. People don't realize really the weight they are carrying in their health, inside their relationships. And let's really just look at one word, happiness. When was the last time we really felt that deep connection with ourselves in those little moments of joy or finding yourself giggling or laughing at something? Where's that gone? So when we really start to dive into this in a holistic version and not just talk about business, but who we are as a whole human being and what we bring to the table and how much better we can be if we just let go of a little bit of control and fear and say, oh, who can I talk to? What mentor, coach, somebody that's been there before me can give me advice on this? And just let me get out of my own way.
That's right. That actually is, one of the things that we don't spend enough time talking about is that it's really hard to get unstuck by yourself.
Yes.
It is. And it's in every situation. I mean, if you're stuck in your truck or your car, you're not getting out.
You call for help.
You need a tow truck.
You need a chain and a tow
truck. Or
you
need a whole bunch of people with a big rope. You're not getting out. And it's like that that's just the thing with our listener, right? It's, and I've seen myself, others, the only only time I've gotten really unstuck is because someone else could look through and look at my situation, help me see it through different eyes and go, I didn't see that. Okay, I didn't understand that. I didn't get that. Now, a reframe, reconnection, and then some accountability around doing the things that are uncomfortable to get unstuck, right? It's tough to get out of the mud. It's going to be a bit messy.
Yeah.
And then, but you get out and then, wow, things can start moving, right? And it's crazy. I mean, it's really shocking, I guess is the right word for that, how few invest in that even today where it's prevalent. Many people, I mean, it's been like that for decades now, that coaching has been in the open media and the world. Like, lots of people have, you hear it all the time, coaches, lifestyle, all sorts of coaches. Yet it's very few that actually go and invest that for themselves. When really the big, and that's like, okay, hire a coach personally for your personal life has a certain outcome. If you're talking about a business and the number one person in that business and investing in them, the owner of the business, investing in themselves to forward the business, there isn't a better ROI opportunity.
Agreed.
Right? It really is. When you think about it, there's not a better ROI because businesses are one of the best investments people can make, right? They grow as the economy grows, as there's inflation, the business value just continually grows, right?
Right.
It's a great way to build wealth. Yet few invest in the key component of it, which is themselves.
Man, we could talk for days about this. I think you're absolutely right. And even for myself, yes, I am a coach, but I also have coaches who coach me on my business, in my personal well-being, just bringing the right mentors and people into your circle. I also sit in mastermind groups where the clientele inside that mastermind group, I sometimes wonder, am I really at the level that they are? And so I always try to go into groups where I know that people are in the 7 and 8, tapping into the 8 figures. And I look around and think, And sometimes you can go into those situations and go, oh, I don't really belong here. That is the wrong mindset. And I don't like to say right or wrong, but what's going to happen is you're now going to level up because you're going to learn how they think. And it's not about exactly what they're doing. It's about learning how to think, to problem solve, to get out of your own way. And you'll start to see business owners that have really grown and surpassed that solopreneur 8, 9, 10 to 15 or 20 members. That's a whole nother level than the smaller teams. You have to level up your thinking. And if you don't let go of a few things and get really good at letting go, then you're going to be stuck in that space of overwhelm, burnout, even imposter syndrome.
Yeah. It's so important. And I think what you're saying too, just to sort of highlight that the quality of the people that you're surrounding yourself with, there's groups and people you can surround yourself with. Like today, I could go online, find a group I can go and pay nothing and go and hang out with those people. And then there's also groups I can find today where I can go out and I can spend $50,000 to spend time with them. The result is I'm going to get a lot more out of the 50,000. I'm going to get 50,000 out of it. What am I going to get out of the free one?
Right. Right.
So I'm going to get something, but there's going to be a difference. And that's also a real important piece, is that hanging around the people you want to be and the people that make you feel like you can do more and jump higher, and not from a negative perspective. I don't think that's probably stuff that if people were like, oh, I'm not good enough, I'm not, as good as these people. I mean, that's part of the mindset, but it's like a positive stress to be in a group where you aspire. It's like, oh, how did that person get there? Like, what? Wait a second. I'm doing all those things too. I can, I'm capable. I can do these things. Yes. That's what happens when you're in a group of people and you go, I'm going to do that too. And guess what? You get the same results that they get or similar results. Mm-hmm. But sitting in your home by yourself, working away on the computer, that's not happening. It's interacting with others, getting into groups, connecting, whether it's online or face-to-face. Mm-hmm. So important to do that and have that mental shift. And it's one of those magical things that you don't actually have to do anything but be around them.
Well, just exactly. It's really making a choice. If you really follow that, what you're talking about, even a step further, you start to look at the circle of people that you're within. And we've all heard the saying where you become the average of the 5 people that you hang around the most. So just like your energy, where are you spending your time? And their mindset is your education.
That's right.
That's huge. And that's worth gold for you.
That's worth gold. Mm-hmm. Yes.
As a business owner, as a leader. And the interesting thing is that it really doesn't matter if you lead teams or your family. We all lead ourselves first. And so the role, the title, the tenure, the salary, those don't weigh as much as how you show up as a leader, how you engage with people, and how you really let go of, I need to show everybody or prove that I'm worthy of being here. And you go into a space and you say, I really just want to be curious, and I want to show up, and I want to learn from others. Because it's not about what you know, right? It's right. Really showing up and being curious about what other people are doing and what's outside of our comfort zone. That comfort zone, boy, it gets you.
It does. It does. It's the one that holds us all in the place if we're not willing to alter it, impact it. A simple menu would be, okay, what are the things I want to go do, or what do I need to have happen in my business, and find the people that are doing that and go be with them. And you will find yourself there before you can even imagine. And that's the thing that I don't think many people talk about it, realize it. It's certainly not taught in school.
No.
In fact, it's actually avoided because they separate, right, people with different quality. You've got, you're the top of the class, so you go over in this group. You're in the middle, you stay here. Right. In the bottom, you stay over there. It is like, guess what? At the end of the race, everybody's in exactly the same spot.
We're all humans.
Right? Yes. And so that's kind of the thing that I think is almost a success secret. That's not really that secret, maybe just not that well known, is that you can alter your own performance by just standing on the other side of the classroom, and you'll naturally, your game, your performance, all of that will just naturally go up. I see it with my son in sports. If he's playing in a group with a group of kids that are going at a certain rate, he comes out and it's like, guess what? That's the rate that he starts to perform at.
Yes.
He goes into an elite group and all of a sudden speed goes up, his effort goes up, and his results go up. And it's just simply choosing which, am I going to go to that one or am I going to go to this other one? He loves them both. He has fun in them both. It's just being a little bit more maybe thoughtful about where who we're putting around us and what groups we're showing up to belong to.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot to be said for stepping into those groups that are are really going to level you up. There's this hesitation sometimes. I am working with a client who is so well-spoken. She speaks on stages. She does so many things to impact others. And she said, can I just tell you a secret? I get so nervous, almost sick, when I go into networking or different spaces that I don't know anyone. And we started unpacking that. And what happens in our brain is that primitive brain of ours. It's so clever. It just wants to save us from everything. And so it starts to let this anxiety rise up in your body. What if I say something stupid? What if they don't like me? What if I don't connect with anybody? There's those things that happen in our brain. And when we actually stand back for a moment and look at that, and we say, and we flip it, we shift gears, and we say, what insight can I learn here? What can I learn about the situation that I didn't know before? What will I learn about myself just being here? And what can I learn from the people in the room? And so when you get curious and you go, this isn't about me. What if I? That's a space where we feel like we're still proving ourselves. But if we go in and we be curious and we get really close to people and ask them how and what makes what they're doing so special, we learn a lot. And that's where your mindset starts to shift, is because you've exposed yourself now in a way that doesn't make you feel as vulnerable, but more curious. And that curiosity is such a gift. If we can just hang on to that, what can I learn? What's today going to teach me? Changes everything.
Changes everything. I love it. I love it. We've opened up a lot of doors here, a lot of ideas. Tonya, I imagine you have some resources to help people with this, to help them get to know you better, help them to get to know the work that you do better, help them to maybe even work on their own. What would be the best way for them to learn about you and get access to some of those opportunities?
I believe we're going to put a link in the show notes. Am I right there?
Yes.
So that link will take people to it's a Linktree link, and it will take people to my website, my social accounts, and a couple of free downloads that will help them really just different mindsets, production, and how to get past the being stuck spaces. They're just simple little tidbits, but that's the easiest way, is for people to click on that link and choose what works best.
It's in the show notes. It's going to be in the show notes. So easy. You don't even have to type it.
Don't even have to type it. Just click it. It'll be right there. Yes.
Those clicks are great. We love them there. Wonderful. Well, Tonya, this has been absolutely delightful, and really, I think some great ideas and thoughts for our listeners. So I want to thank you for your generosity and being on the show.
It has been such a treat. And thank you. I really appreciate being here and being able to speak to your audience as well. I hope they find some good in it.
I'm sure they have. And the pleasure has been all ours. And with that, we wrap another episode of the Successful Bookkeeper Podcast. To learn more about today's wonderful guest and to get access to all sorts of valuable free business building resources, you can go to thesuccessfulbookkeeper.com. And don't forget, there will be that great link from Tonya in the show notes. And with that, we will say goodbye.
You've been listening to The Successful Bookkeeper with Michael Palmer. For more information and to download the resources mentioned in this episode, please visit us at thesuccessfulbookkeeper.com. Thank you for listening.